Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. Jacalyn. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. Jacalyn at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. I'm the president, founder, and chief listening officer here at our network. We are currently 29 live broadcasts strong each and every week, and our show today is titled Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, a show about nothing. What does this mean? It means there's no script. We don't have an agenda. We just have a chat in our virtual living rooms and get to know each other. We've got a very special guest today. She is joining us again. I'm thrilled to have her here. I've been following her on social media, and there's always something to learn from her. Her name is Kaye Parker, and you can find her at Kaye Parker Official on Instagram and TikTok. She's an influencer, and she's a mental health advocate. Let's welcome her to the program. Hello.
Thank you. Hi. Thanks so much for having me again.
So nice to have you back. It's been a while. I was trying to remember, was it in the last year?
I think so. Maybe.
The time goes by so fast. It does. I know. So when we saw you last, you were going through a number of transitions, and you looked really put together as you do today, gorgeous as always. What's this period of time been like for you since we saw you?
Oh, I think when you saw me, I was just kind of really getting into speaking on behalf of miscarriages and being a mental health advocate for women who are not seen and heard through their trials and tribulations. And kind of when they were going through miscarriages and depression and just general mental health, just that was a big thing for me for a while, and just sharing my story so others know that they weren't alone. Transitioning to now, as we were just speaking off stage, I am doing a big rebrand for myself. I've been taking this, I guess, summer to really look at my brand and see what really connects with me. How do I want others to perceive me? What can I teach others? How can I involve the community? And yeah, a lot of things are up and coming, and I'm very excited.
I'm excited for you as well. When you think of your branding today, how would you describe yourself versus where you're going to go?
So that's a funny question, because I was actually just speaking to somebody yesterday. I'm like, if you look at my page, what do you see? And he's like, oh my gosh, I just see this girl who has her hands in so many jars and nobody knows what they're going to get. Like every day it's like, what is Kaye doing today? Nobody knows. And that's when it kind of hit me where, yeah, I think that is exciting. And that's like part of like my ADHD, where I don't want to have a typical 9 to 5 where I do the same thing every day. I like to change it up. But at the same time, I think we spoke about this potentially earlier on, but when you have social media and a brand, typically you do have a niche. So you want to take that funnel and kind of, when people see your stuff, they want to know, okay, Kaye Parker is boom, boom, boom. So for me, when I was looking at my page, I didn't really get that. So the transitioning to now is being a mother, a single mother. That's going to be a huge aspect of my new brand. Mental health and healing and self-love and self-worth is going to be a massive part of it. Another one is the cannabis and psychedelics industry. That also goes with mental health and healing for me, food and drink, and travel. So I'm going to have a bunch of different pillars, but it's going to be more of a lifestyle brand. And because I think that's just who I am. I like to have people kind of look inside into my life and know that anything is possible. And at any point in time, you can choose to change your life. And I think a lot of people are scared and they are in this place of complacency and stagnancy. And I think when you allow yourself to be uncomfortable and you allow yourself to dive into fear, that's when magic truly happens.
Great point. And I just want to segue that with the fact that you're a mental health advocate. So, putting yourself out into the public domain where you are officially a social media influencer, how would you say that's impacted you psychologically, emotionally, mentally?
Oh my gosh, it is such a whirlwind. First, like on a personal level, you don't really realize that when you're going through big stages like divorces and things, everything that you put online is going to be inspected with a microscope. And that was a really big kind of change in my headspace as well, because as you like, Kaye Parker is a brand, right? So when I had to kind of think about how I'm being seen, because how does that make me look? That was a huge part. And that's not even just with personal, that's like globally. I have people on a global level who look at me, watch me, and create a judgment on me. You judge everybody, whether you consciously believe so or not. And people will take their opinions. And that was a lot for me to like digest and get used to, because when you're behind a computer screen, people can say whatever they want. And a lot of the time, sometimes it's really, really hard. So I had to grow a really thick skin. I had to really be confident in who I am and myself. And also, just like on an algorithm standpoint, algorithms want you to be consistent. And when you are a social media influencer or doing anything with media, you kind of have to do it full time, 24/7. Like it's hard to take breaks because that changes your algorithm. And that's the last thing you want to mess up with. So one of the things that I had to kind of cope with myself and allow myself that grace when my mental health needed like priority, that I had to let the algorithm go. And then it's just kind of more getting to the acceptance side of things.
That's something that really no one shared before on this platform about the algorithm and the fact that it's a full-time commitment. And I really honor you for doing that. I know for myself, I spend so many hours on YouTube and Facebook. It's exhausting, it's daunting, and it's almost like you have this threshold and you have to keep treading what or doing whatever you're doing to keep it up here. And the minute you let it go, it's like boom. So when you decided, hey, I'm not going to do this, I'm going to take care of my mental health, what was the impact for you on social media? Did you lose followers? Did things change?
Yeah. So when I first got TikTok, that was when it the app first came out. I loved it. It was more, I was a stay-at-home mom. I was just having fun with it. And then I quit for a while, got it back on, and I had about like 60,000 people by that point. And I remember I took like a solid 6 months. After my son died, I was very, very quiet on TikTok, and I lost like thousands and thousands of followers, because when you're not seen, you're not talked about. And so to stay relevant, you have to be relevant. People need to hear you, see you. You need to be everywhere, do everything. You know what I mean? Like that's like why when people like talk about the Kardashians, you see the Kardashians everywhere. They're in makeup, they're in fashion, they're in entertainment. Like they're very smart with how they market. And that's because they're always available and always accessible. And when you have that was like, that's a lot. It takes a lot out of you. So when I lost all the following, your insecurities, you're like, oh, people don't like me, or I'm not good enough. And like, it makes the mental health harder. So I really had to like take a step back and be like, okay, if I need to take a break, then I take a break. And I think the most important thing is to be authentic about it and be genuine. So tell your community, tell your followers, be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to be MIA for a bit. And I think as long as you keep the communication gate open and people know like that you're a person and you're a human and you need time for you and your family and to like kind of figure out yourself, most people are actually going to be far more compassionate and empathetic and generally understanding than not. I think the fault that I had was that I was so focused when I took the 6-month leave. I was so focused on just the numbers and the likes that I kind of took the human out of it, if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. These are all really great insights. And I'd love for you to just share a little bit more because we hear a lot about this, uh, putting the mental health aside and everything else that you said. People talk about the money. Oh, when you're a social influencer, your money's pouring in. You got sponsorships left and right. What's the truth in your experience?
It can be, yeah, definitely. That's a thing. I think I need to like talk to a bunch of like high school teenagers and 20-year-olds who do it better than me. I see them making so much money. There's a woman in Toronto who, like, I'm not even kidding, makes $100,000 in a couple of months just from social media. There are ways to do it. But it takes time and it takes full-time commitment. It takes a strategy. It takes a marketing plan. It takes a lot of work to get to where you are. And it takes luck and timing as well. That plays a huge thing. A lot of the times everybody thinks like anybody can do it. It's just how you do it and when you do it. So I think the reason why I am where I am today is because I started TikTok well before it became popular. I don't know if I started TikTok, if I would be where I am today, if I started it now versus when I started it when it wasn't popular, if that makes sense. So I think really taking time to understand the industry you want to be in, really, really, really evaluate it, really study it. Like if you're interested in medicine, you have to learn about medicine. So learn about social media, learn about all the different platforms, always keep up with the trends and keep on educating yourself.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing those tips. And something else I really just want to touch on is a number of times I have a guest or somebody on my team, and they'll be overwhelmed by technology. Oh, the computer's not working. The green's, and it's like, it's okay. Just take a breath, take a step back, do some research. Let's talk about it. But and sometimes people crawl into a hole. And I think this is the case no matter what it is you're doing in life, that you feel like you're underwater. And as I talked before about treading water to keep your numbers up on social media, you also have to keep your positive energy and your confidence and your perspective at a high level. Can you speak about that? Because I know you have a lot of experience in this area too.
Oh, yeah, that's a huge one. And I go back and forth this a lot. Every day, if I don't do affirmations, subconsciously, I'm a little pessimistic. I am like the negative mindset comes out every single time. And I just always have to like talk myself through, like, stay positive, stay positive. It's all about energy exchange. So for me, for the past 3 years, all these things kept on happening over and like negative things kept on happening over and over and over and over again. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. So I kept on wallowing and having this victim mindset. And I was so sad. And even though I was helping other people heal, and even though I was talking about healing, deep down, I was really sad and I was hurting and I'm trying to figure out and my transitions and just changing into a new life. And you really, really, really just have to stay present in the moment and know that all it is just a mindset change. Because again, I mentioned this in our last episode, your brain is like a computer. So whatever you think, whatever you say, that is what's being programmed inside of you. So what I've been doing is just reprogramming. And it takes time and you have to be patient and graceful and allow yourself, like yesterday, it was like a sad day. And I call it like a no bones day where I just had to be in my feelings, because the last thing I want to do is also repress it and then it come out in other ways. So for me, what works best for me is if I take everything moment by moment. So right now I'm with you. I'm in this moment. I'm speaking to you and I'm involved in this conversation. And then after this, I go to the next thing and then the next. I don't have a 10-year plan. I don't have a 5-year plan, because in my present state, the best thing that's best for me while I'm working on changing my mindset is just staying fully present, and everything will come into place. You just have to allow that grace, allow the universe to kind of provide. Know that you are taken care of. Know that if you choose what is best for you and your family and for your general well-being, good things are going to come. You just have to create space and allow for them to come.
Thank you, Kay. I hope everyone is listening to what you just shared, because that's so key. I feel like sometimes we're like a juggler. We've all these balls up in the air. Then we decide to stand on one leg and then we're going to do something. No, we can't do all the things at the same time. And then when those balls drop, we're just shh, just close down. But in addition to you being out in the public domain, you're also a mother and your children are looking to you as well. So it sounds like to me, you're like on all the time, but yet you have to find that time for yourself. How do you do that?
I am on all the time. And like being a single mom is exhausting. I commend all of the single moms, single dads, single guardianships, who, like parents in general. It's so much work, because not only do you have like the basics, like, making sure they're fed, cleaned, all that stuff, but it's being a figure to them where they go, oh, this is who I should be like, and this is how I should act, and this is how I'm going to be a successful member in the community. And you're not just like surviving them. You're not just keeping them alive like a plant. Like, this is like you're growing and teaching a real human that is going to make a difference in your community and in potentially the world. So it's a lot of pressure. And I think for me, I really, really wanted to focus for my children, and like what I've been going through is transparency. And obviously everything has to be age appropriate, but when they see mom cry, I want them to see me cry. I want them to see me problem solve. I want them to see me come out of things. I just had a viral video go out and I encourage all the parents to do this. I truly, truly do, is sit down in front of a mirror with all your children and ask them, when they look into your eyes, what they think of you. And like, I'm gonna not cry today, but when my son looked at me, he said hope. And that's what he thinks of me. And so I'm here, I'm probably gonna cry. But that moment was enough to make these past 3 years worth it. Because what my children learned was through all of the things that I went through, that I'm still here and I'm still standing and I'm still trying and I'm still going. And when they look at their mom and they go, yeah, like she gives me hope. Like if she can do it, I can do it. Like what's better than that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I actually saw that post. I'm going to start crying now too. So when you think of what you've accomplished and the fact that you are inspiring not only the world, but of course your children, the most important, now you're about to take some steps to transition to something else. And you also have some events coming up, but let's talk about the transition. What's it going to look like in your mind today, knowing it's going to change, obviously?
Yeah. So my biggest thing, and it's connecting to your last question, is really focusing on emotional healing and mental health. That is a huge one that every single person, regardless if you have a mental health diagnosis or not, everybody has mental health issues in some degree. It is a huge pendulum of many different ways and things. It could be anxiety, it can be anger, it can be depression. Like there's so many different forms of it. But I think that it's still nearly nowhere near where it needs to be talked about and understood. There's so many different things. I can go on about mental health for so long, but I think that's going to be a really big key thing in my transition, is really focusing on healing and mental health while being a single mom, and really trying to teach yourself that you don't have to be perfect. Allow yourself to fail and allow your children to see you fail and allow them to see how you put the pieces back together. And I think if a lot more people were a lot less scared about how other people see them and judge them, and just focus on themselves and their inner child and their demons and their things that they really want to work on, like take a look at yourself, meditate, sit with yourself, and you're going to know what needs to change and start implementing it. And I think that's kind of going to be my biggest thing. And travel is a huge thing for me as well. And so I want to incorporate travel. and experiences with that as well. I recently am doing ice bath therapy, and trying new experience and opening yourself up is going to be my transition. Is who am I? Where the sense of belonging, and how I went from a farmer's housewife, being married and having that as my identity, the transition of who is Kaye Parker? Like truly, who is Kaye Parker? What is she like? Who is she? What does she do? How I kind of want to showcase how I'm, I guess, finding myself through healing and experiences and travel and community. And yeah, it's going to be more of like a lifestyle transition, a huge lifestyle transition of changes, in hopes that for other people who are going through the same thing, they're going to be like, oh, like, let's watch her journey type thing.
It sounds super exciting, and also that you have at least one book in there. Does Kaye Parker plan on doing a book at any time?
Yeah, I know. It's so crazy because I have my children's book that I'm currently getting illustrated. So that's something that's going to be out hopefully soon. We're working on that. And I am currently writing my autobiography, which people have been asking for so long. So that book is currently being written. I know I'm very excited about it. A lot of people are like, you have to put your life on paper. So that is what I'm doing. It's going to be more targeted to, again, that transition of belonging and finding who you are and allowing change and the unknown to be a positive. So I think my past, or like what I've done up until this point, has been very much in a lack. Like if you look at my videos, I use humor to deflect my trauma, and I was very emotional and vulnerable, and that's great because that's where I was at. But now, as I'm moving towards moving on and letting go, I really want to change, again, that mindset, that transition of the unknown is exciting, and you never know what can happen. That's the really coolest thing about life. You may feel like right now you have nothing, but if you do things that you love and like and that make you happy, I guarantee you something's going to just naturally come in your aura that is meant for you. And I'm not saying like if you're just laying on the couch all day and you're like, all right, $1 million, come on, let's go. That's not how it works. But if you truly follow your dreams and put in the work and time, I guarantee you that it will pay off. And it is going to pay off in ways that you will never anticipate or expect. You never know who you're going to meet, who's going to see you, what's going to really reach out to somebody. Don't be afraid of trying something new and getting out of that box. We are not.
Amen to that. I agree. I have to say that in the last week, some things came to me that in a million years, I never could have even thought about. So it is so important to stay positive and be grateful. And I want to have you share a little bit about these upcoming events that you have that are super exciting. And for people who don't know, let them know, how they can get involved.
Yeah, for sure. So I have a couple events. I am working with Oshawa's Urban Market, obviously in Oshawa. It is an upscale farmers market. So we're doing tons and tons of events. The one event is going to be on September 10th, so very soon. And that is a full moon event. So we're making moon water. We're focusing on mental health, journaling, intention setting. We're going to have a tarot reader. It's just really about mental health while you get a shot for fresh food that are made by local and Canadian made products, which are really great. So we want to support the abundance that we have here in Canada. So Oshawa Urban Market, please check them out. They're absolutely fabulous. We always have upcoming events, and the food and lifestyle products that they sell are absolutely fabulous. So go check them out. The other event, we have a St. Thomas Summers Music Festival that's happening as well. So I'm going to be hosting that. I'm also going to be hosting like a speed meeting where people in the community and outside the community are coming together, whether it be to make new friends, business, or potentially find a love match. I'm going to be hosting an event with that. I'm also going to be hosting Grow Up in Niagara Falls this weekend as well. This weekend's very busy. And that is going to be focused on the cannabis industry. So we're having farmers, scientists, anybody and everybody who makes up the cannabis community are going to be there. And it's going to be like a 3-4 day expo. So that's going to be super exciting to be part of that. I very much love that community as well.
And both of these are in Canada, correct?
All of them are in Canada. Yeah.
Okay. All of them. Okay. Fabulous.
Take a
So
plane ride.
what do you have to do mentally to get yourself ready to host an event where, again, you're in the public domain, everybody's looking at you, and there you are? So what does that process look like for you?
So it was even funny, like even today, I not only had a house showing, I have 2 people coming to look at the house today. It's the first day for the kids to get back at school. So I'm packing their lunches. I am trying to make the house clean for a showing, getting the kids out, getting ready to come on live. And I think being prepared and having a plan and doing a little bit every day to get to that point really helps you out in the long run. So on the weekend, I took a weekend off so I could just do laundry, stay at home, clean. I did my no bones weekend. So I just was relaxing at home. I made time. And let me just say, time management, short and sweet. Time management is key. If you set yourself up for success, you will be successful, but you really do have to manage your time. Stay organized and manage your time.
Thank you, Kay. Something I want to follow up with, because I have this myself, is people will be asking you to do things and pulling you away from your intention and your focus. And I get a lot of, come on, you got to stop working. You got to get out and do something. But I'm so driven with what I'm doing. I do self-care and I do affirmations and prayer and working out. But other than that, this is my focus. How do you feel about that? Because you have your family, right? And you take care of yourself. Do you say to people who are like, hey, drop what you're doing? I know you took the 6 months off, but today, now where you are, would you say, hey, you know what? Yeah, I'll get together for a girls' weekend. I'll go out to dinner. I'll do this. I'll do that. How do you deal with that?
Oh, 100%. I say yes all the time. I actually, my girlfriend just messaged me. She's like, hey, November 2nd and 3rd, you're not working for 2 days. I booked us to go to the Friends experience in Toronto. I got us a hotel. We're doing 2 days, just you and I. We're having a girls' day. And I was like, yep, okay, we're going. And I will work around that, because part of self-care and mental health is to put time aside for joy and happiness and spending time with people who make you feel good. And I'm also like trying to work out how I can schedule traveling, but working while I'm traveling and making money while I'm traveling. But that's also part of like creating strategies for yourself and managing yourself, your time, your work. Because if doing what you're doing makes you happy and you're driven and you're focused and this is what you want to spend your time doing, then that's fabulous. I love it. And a lot of other men and women also feel the same way. But then there's other people who would rather go out and do those things. And for me, with my new transition of a lifestyle brand, in my head, I'm like, well, yeah, that Friends experience, I can showcase that through content. So while I am experiencing things, I'm taking content of those things, which is for work. So for me, the more I experience, the more I travel, the more I engage with the community, that's actually better for my job. But it just, everybody's different. So just choose what makes you happy and put your own oxygen mask on first, and don't put those put the blinders on. Sorry. Don't focus on what other people think or feel, because everybody's their own individual person and everyone has an opinion. I know, like when I was first a mother, I went back with my first son. I went back to work after 6 months because I just could not be at home with the baby for that, the first 6 months. And I was like, I can't do it anymore. And I had so much hate from people that are like, you're just leaving your baby. Like, you don't want to be with your baby. And I like working. I like staying busy. I like connecting with the community and adults. And I didn't want to be a stay-at-home mom. That just what I loved having my son. I love my son, but I just didn't want to do the baby stage. I'd rather be working, and that's okay.
That is okay. You know, you brought up something that I think is also important, whether you're a social media influencer, you're an entrepreneur, whatever it is, people always have something to say. People always stand in judgment. It's like, who asked you, right?
And their opinions don't matter. They don't. What they think of you doesn't matter.
We see it on social media all the time. Recently, one of the A-list celebrities passed away, and people wrote horrible things on her social media. Of course, she's not reading them, but her children are reading them. And it's almost like, what do you get out of putting that hatred out there? Look at your own life. Are you that perfect? You know?
And nobody is. And I think that's a really beautiful thing that you just said, because everything in life is a projection, is an exact mirror, right? So when people are saying really mean things to you, the biggest thing that I am learning, and still, when I say learning, it's because I actually have to tell myself this on a regular basis, is it is not a reflection of you. Hurt people, plain and simple. And if you just focus on your own lane and just be your best self, nothing else matters.
Well stated. So I have a follow-up about that. I teach people how to listen at an elevated level, and we talk a lot about that, about the judgments, about the anger. So when you have somebody throwing a small stone at you or a giant boulder, does it hurt initially, or do you just let it bounce off and maybe take a deep breath and say, okay, this is about you, it's not about me? What is your way that you react, especially on social media?
Yeah, social media, honestly, I laugh about it. I was like, try to say something that I haven't said to myself already. And I talked to my sister about this yesterday. I struggled with so much with self-love, self-worth, self-value, that I was the meanest person to myself. So no, I encourage people to say something to me that would try to hurt my feelings that I haven't already said to myself. And that was a really big moment for me. So through social media, I kind of, in my early stages, I used to actually like duet people who would make fun of me and say really, really awful things about me. And I would laugh it off because I was like, you don't think I said that to myself 100 times? Get out of here. Sorry. But that was then. And now the only people who truly have an effect to my emotions are people who I am closest to, or people who I value, or I put a value on. Even if they don't deserve it, I've put something on it to make it more impactful for me. So what I've been working on right now, and I was speaking to my shaman about this yesterday when I had like my sad day, is she said, be sad, be bitter, be resentful, be whatever you want to feel. Feel it and allow yourself to be in that moment. But also remember that it is just a feeling. So the goal is to take that breath and know that just because they say it doesn't make it true. And if you find that maybe it is true, then maybe that's a wake-up call for you to go, okay, if I'm resonating with what they said and I truly believe that's true, what am I able to do to change that so that they can't say that about me again? And if they do, then I know if they say it again that it's not valid. So really taking the time to analyze why it's triggering you, why it caused that reaction, and how are you going to change for the future. And another thing that I'm working on as well that my best friend told me is, again, if you put meaning to a person, a thing, that's what's going to make it more impactful. So I am studying the art of detachment, which is what you said, allowing yourself to observe it and not to be in it. It's your emotions. You are not your emotions. You are not your thoughts. They are just coming and going like waves. And I think we've talked about this in our other episode as well, where you just have to allow the emotion and thought to come in, acknowledge it, analyze it, focus, and then you need to let it go and then move on.
Yes, absolutely. And something that you just said about at a high level. I also like to think of as a business owner and also as a person that I'm sort of an eagle overseeing my life, my business, instead of being the ostrich with my head down in it all the time. We have to take a step back and go, okay, let me take a look at this. And I think people sometimes get lost. They're so focused down the hole. This is never going to end. It's never going to end. Well, if you're still here, it will end at some point. Like if, and that's what we forget. If you think about what you've been through, and I think about my life, what I've been through, those things are over. They're in the past. But when we were in them, we thought, oh my gosh, this is so painful. I don't think it's ever going to end. But yet we learn skills. We learn how to detach. We work with shaman. We work with coaches, mentors, so that we get the skills. So we let that process work so we can detach.
Exactly. And that's the huge thing. And I love that you use the illustration with the ostrich in the sand, because again, that's what I mentioned earlier. For the past 3 years, even though I was so focused on helping other people heal and talk about it, I still was an ostrich with my head in the sand. And even though I was using the strategies and all that stuff, I was still consumed in it. And I let the trauma define me. And I based everything about my trauma. So it's one thing to have trauma and to like heal and go through it and do what I did. It's fine, but you have to get to the other side at some point.
And Kay, you mentioned that you're doing some house showings, which is very stressful. Just that one thing in of itself, moving, is very stressful. And a number of people have gone through it during the pandemic. They're going through it. So when you think about everything you have on your plate, how do you deal with the moving part of it, knowing that at some point someone else will be in your home, you won't be there, you'll be somewhere else?
Yeah, in the beginning, in the past, I should say, I was distraught about it. I have a beautiful home. The property is exquisite. I don't have neighbors. It's just all green. It's quiet all the time. That's where my children are being raised. But that's also connected to trauma. That's also connected to a past that I no longer identify with. So by me being there, I'm still energetically tied to my past. And then that will make the ostrich thing continue to be present because I'm still in it. When you allow yourself and change your mindset to be like, hey, yeah, stressful, sure. Moving, yeah, that makes sense. But if you change your mindset and go, hey guys, like kids, what kind of colors do you want to paint your new room? Like, what toys do you want? Like, how do you want, like, if you look at it in a more beautiful, exciting, change is a good thing. And yeah, it can be scary, but that's also good. And involving your children, like I was like, hey, like, let's pick out our colors. Like, where do you want to live? Like, where do you see yourself? Allow them to be a part of decision making. Allow them to know that it's a family choice. And when you're excited about it and you're positive about it, then it kind of changes the whole tone of going through something that can be stressful and that can be scary and that can be sad. And yeah, like I will probably cry because it's like ending a chapter. But the greatest thing about a book is that then another chapter comes. It doesn't mean, oh, my husband is divorcing me, he left and now he's moving on and he has this whole new life and oh, my book's done. Woe is me, like everything is the worst. Well, no, I can do that if I choose to, but like as far as I know, like this is my only life and this is what I know right now. So why don't I want to make that beautiful?
Thank you for sharing that, Kay. I found myself back here actually smiling when you were talking about, your kids being involved in the process and new toys and new experiences. And I think our tone and the words we use really make a big difference in how we see things. I know people who have been in relationships and somebody broke up with them, and yet they carried the person's picture around, or they've got the cards, or they've got, oh, he gave me this or she gave me that. with that kind of mentality, when you're still attached to it, it's almost like that bag of bricks pulling you down, and you think you're getting to the surface, but then boom, they pull you back down. So I know during the pandemic I moved, and I moved by myself, and it was a big move. It was a nightmare in an apartment building with the elevator. Anyway, long story short, when I finally left, I shed some tears and I thought, okay, I'm going to take a deep breath because that chapter's over. That was a good one. What's the next chapter? I can't wait.
And that's it. And be uncomfortable and dive into fear. Like, fear is just your body's way of being like, oh, we've never experienced this. Like, is this, we don't, it's your body's response. But as long as like you don't see flames or like clearly signs of danger, being uncomfortable is a good thing. And again, with the failure, even if you fail, everybody has this perception. I shouldn't say everybody. Many people have a perception that failure is a bad thing. You are taught not to fail. I want my kids to fail. I want my kids to erase and rewrite and erase and rewrite and erase and rewrite. My son is a massive perfectionist, and it drives me nuts because he always has to have everything perfect. And if he thinks that he did anything less than perfect, he has a complete meltdown. And that's a lot of pressure. But I'm like, no, buddy. Like, I thought I was a failure of like as a wife because I went through a divorce. But I'm not a failure. It's that I'm learning and I'm growing, and everything that I've been through, it's not because I failed. It's because I'm growing and I'm learning and I'm developing, and I need all of those things that I've learned as skills to transition into what my future is going to look like, which is going to be fabulous because that is what I'm choosing. And you, every day, you wake up again and you have a choice. Am I going to choose to be happy? And am I going to choose to put myself first? That's all it is. Life is it's not as complicated as people make it out to be. It's very simple.
So motivating. Thank you, Kaye. And for people who want to follow you on social media, what will they experience now? Will there be a change in the type of content that you'll be posting?
Yes. So very much, a lot of my posts before were more focused on humor and being in the trauma and healing through the trauma. And it was very scattered. It might be still like that while I'm in the transition phase, but it will be transitioning to more of a corporation where it's going to be more of a lifestyle. So you're going to see, I'm still going to be open and I'm still going to be vulnerable, and you're still going to see the authentic Kaye, but it's going to be in a much different way where we're going to be focusing more on community. We're going to be focusing more on businesses and traveling and really showcasing everyone's talents and what they have to offer and how they're impacting the world. And the transition again is going to be, and I guess the content is going to be more focused on mindset and positivity and growth and developing and self-love and self-value and self-worth.
Very exciting. And before we close out, I know you've interviewed a number of people, and I'm wondering if you can share what are some of the things that they stand out to you. Wow, as a result of my interviewing X number of people, I've learned this about myself or about society or whatever it is you want to share.
Yeah, so I was mentioning to you earlier, I am sadly to say that I'm going to be putting trials and tribulations to rest. Not for any other reason, only purely based on that I'm ready to just transition into like a little different business strategy. It's not to say that I'm not going to interview people. It's just not going to be under trials and tribulations. But what I've learned through trials and tribulations, and I've had well over 80 episodes, I have interviewed people from all over the world. I have interviewed homeless people with HIV, people of all identities, anyone and everyone. And what I've taken from, and every single person has said this, is to fail, to allow yourself to make mistakes, and to know when you are at your lowest and you feel like there is nowhere left for you to go. That's, again, when the magic's going to happen. And it kind of lights a fire under your butt. And that when you are left without a safety net and total discomfort, that's when you're ready. And that's what makes you push to finally get to where you want to be. When you have nothing left, that's when your life changes. And allow yourself to choose yourself. Invest in yourself. Give yourself a chance. And every single person who I've interviewed has said that. Enjoy being uncomfortable. Failure is not a bad thing. Continue to learn, grow, love, and be your best self. And make sure that you're always putting on your own oxygen mask first. And I think that's pretty much like the basics of all 80 episodes. It doesn't matter who you are, what you look like, where you came from. We all experience the same feelings, the same thoughts, the same emotions, no matter how we perceive ourselves. We all have the same human truth. And at the end of the day, it's what is best for you. Give yourself that chance, because you're not going to let yourself down.
Woo! What a fabulous way to conclude this show. I love it. I'm so happy for you, Kaye, and I'm so proud of you. And I hope you'll be coming around more often and updating us on what you're doing.
I would love to come back anytime. I love seeing you guys.
I love seeing you too. And I'm just going to spotlight you again for people who are listening on the radio, or they'll watch this as a future podcast episode. What's the best way for people to contact you, and who would you like to reach out?
Hello. Thank you guys so much again for watching. You can find me on TikTok and Instagram, primarily at Kaye Parker Official. Check me out. There's always something random happening. My life is I'm so grateful, and you'll always get the behind the scenes, the ins, the outs, the emotion, the vulnerability, it's all there for you to enjoy. So I hope to see you there.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kaye. I'll be in touch with you, and I wish you success in selling your home and this wonderful journey with your events that you have coming up. You've given us a lot of great things to think about today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and all the best for you as well.
Thank you so much. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone, whether you're watching on the live or the replay. Please do reach out to Kaye. I really think so much of her from the moment that I met her before. I was really inspired, and she's had an amazing journey, and she's been very candid about it and transparent. She's helped so many people. She can help you as well. So please do go to TikTok or Instagram and go to follow Kaye Parker Official. All right, we are signing off for our next show, which will be coming up, which is Talking Heads. We have a brand new expert presenter, Caroline Hewer, joining us from London. She's the Harley Street stress expert. She helps you bust your stress, and she has joined our team of expert presenters. So please do come back and join us for that in just over an hour. I'm off to meet my book coach as I work on the second of 7 of our children's series of books, The Amazing Adventures of Lady Ella. Bye for now. Thanks again, Kaye.